Michael Dieter says he's overwhelmed by all the support he's getting from around the world. CTV's Jill Makishan has more on the politics of the publisher and the disturbing image that started it all.
It was that heartbreaking photo of a dead father and daughter from El Salvador, migrants who drowned trying to gain a foothold in the U.S., that inspired Michael Dieter to create this. A powerful editorial cartoon that went viral, and now Dieter's story is as well.
It was like, boom, gone, you're out of here.
Dumped by Brunswick News and its owners, Irving, one of Canada's richest oil families, which has a big stake in New England. Dieter said every Donald Trump cartoon he submitted to the New Brunswick publisher in the past year was axed. In a statement, Brunswick News said Dieter did not lose his contract because of the cartoon, which it never ran. The company called it a false narrative, saying it had decided weeks ago to hire another cartoonist. Dieter has been creating cartoons for Brunswick News for 17 years.
The Irvings want to put out the viewpoint they want to put out. Let's ignore Trump for a minute. I mean, they don't want cartoons critical of Andrew Scheer. They don't want cartoons critical of Blaine Higgs. They don't want cartoons critical of their bottom line.
Dieter has received overwhelming support on social media, and the man who as a boy once drew scenes from Star Wars was praised by Luke Skywalker. Pulitzer Prize-worthy, tweeted Mark Hamill, shame on us. And in support of Dieter, the Montreal Gazette's editorial cartoonist created this.
Trump cartoons, specifically the Trump cartoons that he's been producing, are provocative and are making a lot of noise around the globe.
Dieter's not the first to feel pushback. A longtime editorial cartoonist with the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette was fired in June, he said, for criticizing Trump.
What we seem to have now increasingly is a culture in media organizations of comforting the comfortable. And this may just be another example of how gun-shy, really, media organizations have become.
The irony is the Dieter cartoon, which never made it into New Brunswick's papers, has now been shared around the world, seen by millions, increasing the cartoonist's profile. Omar?
All right, Jill, thank you.
Michael Dieter joining us now. Michael, normally it's your work that we're talking about. How do you feel about us talking about your career?
Oh, yeah. It's actually not the first time people have been talking about my career with the Daily News folded in 2017. So I've been here before. It's not a pleasant place to be. But I do work for, the Chronicle Herald. I still have a freelance agreement with the Chronicle Herald, and I still have a freelance agreement with, the Toronto Star and the Hill Times. So, I mean, it's bad, but it's not as bad as 2017.
Now, what do you make of the reaction from the newspaper that issued a statement following this whirlwind?
Well, I mean, they have their view of what happened. There's any endless possibilities of why I was fired. I mean, there's only really one or maybe 5 people that really know what the situation was. I was given no reason. I was just dismissed. I spent 17 years working for the Irving papers, and in fact, in those 17 years, other than Sunday, my cartoons filled a space in a New Brunswick paper for every one of those 17 years, minus the Sundays.
What's been the reaction from readers that normally?
Oh, readers are off the rails. Well, I don't know. I don't know about readers in New Brunswick, like the actual readers. I know my supporters have been very supportive, or the people, almost everybody from New Brunswick who reads my cartoons have been supportive. So, I mean, it actually has been overwhelming in that way.
I also understand that you've had some really key support from people like Mark Hamill. Can you describe that?
Oh, that's amazing. I mean, when I was at 10 years, I may be a cartoonist because of Star Wars. When I was 10, I used to spend all my time drawing Star Wars, characters and TIE fighters and whatnot. So that was mind-blowing. In that way, it's been awesome.
That cartoon, though, that you drew, what do you hope people really take away from it? Because now maybe it's getting an even bigger audience than people expected initially.
Oh, it's overwhelming. I mean, it's still going. Went from like a modest 17,000 followers to I don't know how many now. I stopped looking. I mean, it's over 70,000 though. And, Michael Moore has retweeted Nancy Sinatra. I thought Nancy Sinatra was going to be like, I thought that was pretty cool. And then next thing you know, Luke Skywalker retweeting it and Mr. Sulu. So, it's great.
Thank you so much for your time, Michael
DeAtter was a freelance artist for Brunswick News Incorporated. The newspaper chain denies canceling his contract over this cartoon, but critics are questioning if the newspaper chain's ties to a big-time oil giant with interests in the U.S. and a need to be on President Trump's good side may have also played a role in the firing. I want to bring in the cartoonist at the center of it all, Michael DeAtter. Thanks so much for joining us. So, Michael, why do you think you lost your job?
I don't know, but the facts of my situation were that I spent 17 years at the paper, and even when cartoons were axed, which was rather frequently, I always replaced the cartoons. So I spent 17 years, filling spots and doing my job. There wasn't a day that I wasn't working that a cartoon of mine didn't appear. And I seemed to have a good relationship on a Monday when I was talking to my editor, and then I had posted that cartoon online, and on Thursday I was dismissed, and without cause, like without a reason. I asked, what's the reason for this, and I went through the list of items. I mean, was it cost? And they said no. Was it gross incompetence? And they said no. Or was it my online presence? And again, no. And that was the end of the conversation.
Do you think business interests
it leaves you to wonder? It leaves you to wonder, right?
Do you think business interests in the U.S. played a role in your dismissal? The newspaper chain is owned by one branch of the family. Another branch of the family has this big oil business, needs to be on the good side of the American president, one would think. Could that have played a role?
That's the only thing that makes sense, really. Business interests affect all decisions at the newspaper and within the company. The bottom line is the only line, at the newspaper. So, 17 years, you know how the newspaper works. Nothing else seems to make sense. I mean, if I was given a reason, if they said cost cutting, I would have moved on, or I would have said I was let go because of cost cutting, and maybe the cartoon would have led to the same thing, but probably not. And I would have taken things at face value. I wouldn't be sitting here. I'm a reluctant, former employee. I didn't want to create. I didn't want this. I didn't look for this to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't look for to be fired, but I also didn't look to be, the poster boy for fired cartoonists.
So in a statement, Brunswick News said your contract was not canceled for the Trump cartoon. It said, quote, "This is a false narrative which has emerged carelessly and recklessly on social media. In fact, BNI was not even offered this cartoon by Mr. DeAtter." It also said negotiations had been going on for weeks to bring back another reader favorite. What do you make of their excuse?
Number one, not to dismiss another cartoonist, but the reader favorite, who is a good cartoonist, is more of an Irving favorite. He's not an Irving is the family who owns the company. He's an Irving favorite, and two, possibly. I mean, I had the Sarah Huckabee Sanders, what I consider an even better cartoon of Sarah Huckabee Sanders a week before, and a cartoon on Trump shooting the media. I mean, all I know is that when the viral cartoon hit stands on a Wednesday, Thursday at, I don't know, 1 or 2 or noon, I was let go without justification. And not only that, that morning I thought everything was good, so I had provided not one but 3 cartoons to fill out the week, and not only was I dismissed, but my cartoons were axed, and you know, it was like hitting a brick wall. I mean, had they were just going with a reader favorite, they probably would have filled out the week at least.
Have to go. Political cartoonist Michael DeAtter, thank you so much for your time. Good luck to you. Our coverage on CNN continues right now.